This conference will now be recorded.
The purchase info record is completed. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now, so far we completed 3 master data: material master and vendor master, and the purchase info record. But in purchase info record, what we observed is a material vendor combination. If purchase info record is not maintained in the system, okay, so definitely the user will have a lot of confusion with which material is providing by which vendor, or if they are providing also what is the price and all. Always you need to check the price list. But if you mentioned as a material vendor combination purchase info record is a condition record. So whatever the conditions we are keeping, the conditions will be updated from purchase info record to purchase order. So this we observed. But purchase info record are classified into 3 areas: general data, purchase data, and condition data. General data will be stored EINA, and the purchase data will be stored EINA, and the condition data will be KONP. And also we have 4 info categories: standard, subcontracting, pipeline, consignment. Okay. So in future, however, after a couple of days, we are going to start the first business process project. Okay. So that time you can understand. Okay. So you need to recognize, like you need to understand here. So to perform this, the standard and subcontracting procurement process, if I want to perform standard and subcontracting, purchase info record is optional. But whereas pipeline consignment, purchase info record is mandatory. Okay. So without purchase info record, we are not able to perform this pipeline consignment procurement process here. And apart from this, what we discuss, always the conditions will be updated on purchase info record to purchase order, but conditions never updated from purchase order to purchase info record. Only one direction. If you change the price also, that is only applicable on only that particular PO only. Means so one more statement you need to understand here. The purchase info record conditions are time dependent, from which date to which date here. There we are going to mention the time here. But purchase order conditions are time independent here. Okay. And also one important, like once the implementation project is started here, so sometimes the new vendors will come. Okay, so from procuring that time material vendor combination, so material vendor combination info record is not available. Okay, so the system will create automatically info record. With the help of this item details, material data checkbox will be there. So the system automatically creates the info record here. So this also I shown you. So these are all we discussed in the last session here. But today we need to discuss about the one more master data, that is the source list here. The source list, actually, what is the transition code to perform the source list? ME0 only. The source list is a master data. So what is the transition code here? ME0 only. Right. ME0 is the transition code to maintain the source list here. Okay. First of all, so before going to discuss about the source list, what is the importance of the source list here? So why we need to maintain the source list in the system? Without source list, what happened here? We need to discuss here. Okay, so for that, suppose now I'll take only one material, that is material X. Okay, I'll take one material, that is material X here. So this material, okay, so if I have not activated the source list here, if I have not activated the source list in the system against this material, so this material I can procure from any vendor, my vendor database here. Example, I have some 10,000 vendors is there, list of vendors, all the domestic and import vendors. From 10,000 vendors, any vendor I can able to procure because I'm not activated. So I created a material in the system. So this material, so I can give the order to any vendor here. But in my business requirement, some few number of the materials, not for all the materials here. So hardly we can say some 5 to 10% of materials, the behavior. Okay. So some materials I want to purchase from only list of vendors. So this particular material I want to purchase from vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3. So in this case, I need to activate the source list here. And if I activate the source list, my job is not over. I need to maintain the source list here. So if I maintain the source list in the system, okay. So example, for this material, I can able to purchase from only these vendors I mentioned in the system. Apart from these vendors, what are the vendors, whether one vendor or two vendors or 5 vendors, apart from this list of vendors, if user is trying to procure the material, the end user is trying to procure the material apart from this list of vendors, the system immediately stops there itself here. The system immediately stops there itself here. So this is the main purpose of the source list here. So finally, so altogether, so what is the main importance of the source list here? Some few materials I want to procure some few list of vendors here. So I want to restrict the remaining vendors in the system. So in this purpose, we need to maintain the source list here. So this source list can be activated plant level. The plant level also can activate the source list. The second one, the material level also we can activate the source list here. So one is the plant level. The second one is material level also you can activate the source list here. But all the clients here, 100% clients, okay, no client will not activate the source list at plant level. So why they will not activate the source list at plant level also we'll discuss here. But no client will not activate the source list at plant level. So every client will activate the source list at material level only here. So this is also I'll show you in the system. And second one, so we observed like metal master tables we observed, vendor master tables we observed, info record tables also we observed, but source list altogether we have only one table, that is EORD. You know, so what is the table? Okay, to see the, so what is the transition code to see the table here? AC16. This already you know everybody. Okay, AC16 is the transition code. Okay, you can go and you can check the any table information in the SAP system here. So all the sources details will be stored in EORD table here. Okay, so instead of discussing all this theory, let me go and I'll show in the system. Okay, so for temporarily, so I'll create one material. Okay, so without activating the source list, how system is being. After activating the source list, how system is being. Where we need to activate a plant level and material level. So and what are the other important parameters in the source list also we'll discuss in today's session. Now let me go to one here. Now I'll create one material. So go to MM01. In MM01 transition code, I can able to create a material. So let me create some raw material. The basic MM is enter the plant and store location. So this already you know. So this is a test for source system. Just I'm mentioning source system. Anything in real time, you need to enter the description. Who will provide this description? All the parameters will be provided where client people. Okay. Enter the buyer group. Enter in the plant store location. So enter the valuation class and enter some price here. Right. I have created a one material. So material code is 1578 here. So for this material, once I created in the system, you know, ME21 already you know to create a purchase order. ME21 transition code to create a order, purchase order. Okay. Let me go to list of vendors. Purchase organization, purchase group, and the company code 1578. And the quantity, so price, currency, enter the plan. Okay, don't worry, we'll discuss in detail about the purchase equation. Simply I'm giving the order. Which material? Just now I created this material, so I'm giving the order to this vendor here, 1000 vendor here. So we have a couple of vendors will be there. So I'm giving the order. Easily, if you click on message during check, you can able to create a PO. The system is not going to stop to you. The system is not going to stop to you. You can able to create a purchase order. Okay. So instead of this vendor, now let us see here. What happened? The server got disconnected. Okay, right. So instead of this vendor, I'll go with other vendor here. 5210. The 5210 vendor also the system. Like that, you can go and you can procure any vendor. Suppose now your company has some 5000 vendors or 10,000 vendors or 4000 vendors. So any vendor you can able to procure this material. This is a simple process. Okay, means a particular material is there, you can procure any vendor. But what is my requirement? Today we need to observe. Okay, so what is the importance of the source list here? So now what I will do first, I will show you. So what we discuss here, we can activate the source list in two level, material level and plant level, right? So let us see. I'll activate the source list at material level here. I'll activate the source list at material level. So go to MM02. In material level, where you will activate the source list here? In material level, where you will activate the source list? This is most important. Go to selection views. In purchasing view of the material master here. In purchasing view of the material master. In purchasing view, so enter the plant. Here we have indicator called source list here. Okay, so this I selected as a source list indicator. Okay, click on continue into click on next. So what we observed in purchasing view, there is an indicator called source list. So simply you need to click and you need to save it. But don't worry, I activated for only one material. But in real time, so at the time of project year, the client people will inform you how many number of materials they want to activate the source list. So all the list of materials they will provide you. For all those materials, you need to activate the source list here. So this is most important. You need to activate the source list here. So once you activate it, then what will happen here in the system? Okay, now activate the source list here. Previously it is not activated. Now activate the source list here. Simply go to ME21 transaction code. For this material, now this time, okay. So now let me procure this. Enter the purchasing organization, buyer group, and enter the company code. Which material? 1578 material. Okay. So I'm trying to procure some 100 kg. Enter the price, currency, for which plant, and which location. All these details I mentioned. Immediately, the system is talking to you here. This is the error message here. This is the error message here. So generally the messages are three types here. Okay, one is the system will not give you any message, blank, we are not able to see. So warning message populated with the yellow color and error message will be red color here. Okay. So warning message you can go forward for master data as well as transaction data. The system is not going to stop if it is a warning message. But it's error message, so we cannot go forward here. So now this time the system is giving error message, we cannot go forward here. Okay. But why system is previously the same material we can able to procure this vendor. Now not only this vendor, if I change any other vendor also, like 5210 vendor also, the system is going to stop and giving an issue. What is that source not included? Okay, despite the source list requirement, the system is stopping here. Now you know. So whenever you are getting this issue, so in real time also, simply what you need to understand. Okay, this material again is to be. So we activate the source list, but we have not maintained the source list against this material. Okay, then what is the transition code? Tell me ME01 here. ME01 is the transition code. Okay, you can maintain the source list here. For only this transition code here. So previously we observed to create a info record ME11, to change ME12, display ME13. And vendor master also XK01 is create, XK02 change, XK03 display. For only this transition code, there is no ME02. For source list, ME01 itself create and change it. So both create means maintain and change mode will be in ME01 only. Okay. So there is no ME02. ME02 is complete, does not exist. Again ME03 is display mode here. Okay. Let us see ME01 to maintain the source list. So finally, what is the definition of the source list here? A particular material in a particular plant. So what are the available sources here? I need to mention as a record here. So what is the main definition of the source list here? A particular material in a particular plant. So what are the available suppliers here? What are the vendors? And even though what is the from date to date also you can mention here. Okay, from which date to which date vendor. Simply I will mention valid from here. Today is the 26th September and go to valid 2. So valid 2. What is the valid 2? Anyone valid 2 here. You can mention here. Which vendor? Some 1000 vendor. And which path organization? 1000 path organization. So this vendor is in this way. So I mentioned as a sources record here. Simply need to click on save here. Now let us go for the negative test here. Okay. So we mentioned which vendor we mentioned? 1000 vendor. Suppose user is trying to procure with other vendor here. The system will stop or not. Or if I procure with 1000 vendor, okay, the system will go forward or not, will to observe it. So again, I am trying to create a PO in ME21 transition code. So which vendor I need to mention? Suppose let us see 5210 vendor here. This vendor is not recorded in the source list, right? So if I go to mention all the details here. So which is the material? 1578. So how much quantity? Let's say 100 quantity. For which plant here? 1000 plant. Which store location here? Immediately the system is asking the price. Okay, I will mention the price also here. Okay, so I will mention the price. Mention. 1 minute, ma. Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. I got a call. Okay. So here, now what finally what altogether what happened here? So which vendor actually this vendor is I have not activated the source list here. From here you can see from environment. So from environment you can see the master. We go to source list here. So for this material in this plant, so 5210 vendor is not in the record here. So that's what the system is stopping us. If 5210 vendor is there, the system will okay. Now if suppose if I'll go with 1000 plant here, so you will not find any error here. Automatically this error will come. Enter 1000 vendor, the system will accept you. So happily you can able to create a POL. So this is all together. So the purpose of the source list here. Okay, the particular material in a particular plant. So what are the vendors are supplying? So you need to record here. Now suppose here as we discussed here, there is no change mode, right? Now if I go to ME02 also, we are not able to. I go to ME0. This transition code does not exist here. If I want to include one vendor, again you need to go to ME0 only. The same material in the plant, okay, you can include one more vendor. So in real time, they will give you requirement here. This material is how many number of vendors, whether one vendor, or three vendors, or four vendors. So all these vendors need to be recorded. Those, so what are the vendors is there? From those vendors only, user can able to procure this material. From the same day, so it was valid 2 years. Okay. Which vendor? Suppose 5210 vendor is also there. This person is 1000%. Now I include two vendors here. Now this is only with these two vendors only you can able to procure this material. Apart from these two vendors, we are not able to procure from any vendor here in the source list here. So this is the main purpose you need to understand. And apart from this, okay. So here let us see why we will not activate the source list. So always we are activating. So what we discussed here. So every company will activate the source list at material level here. Now just now I shown you where you will activate the source list material level. In Metal Master purchasing data, there is a source list indicator. So tab you need to select here. This is the activation of the source list at material level here. So how you come to know? The client will give you. So here the client will give you how many number of materials they want to be sourced. So all the list of materials will be provided to your client people. So simply you need to activate the source list here. Okay. But why we are not activating the source list at plant level here? So why we are not activating the source list at plant level? So this you need to understand, right? So now, first of all, what is the navigation to activate the source list at plant level? Okay, however, the SAP has given the provision to activate the source list at plant level, right? So let me go to and show the navigation for you. So if you want to activate the source list at plant level, the SAP has given the provision, but will not activate here. Go to SPRO and SAP reference IMG. Coming to materials management. Coming to materials management. In materials management, we have purchasing. In purchasing, so we have sources here. In purchasing, we have sources and define sources requirement plant level. Define sources requirement plant level. Okay. So suppose when you are working in your company, so you have some couple of plants will be there. There are 4 plants or 5 plants. So against this plant, if you activate the source list, if you click on save, so in this plant, the plant contains n number of materials, 50, 60, 70, thousands of materials here. So all the materials need to be sourced here. But instead of 4 to 5% of materials, why should I disturb remaining 95% of the material? Why should I disturb my data? So that's what it is not recommended. Okay, nobody will not activate sources, but even though the SAP has given this provision, I'm showing here. And one more, what it is, so now you understood, right? So why we are not activating sources at plant level? If I activate the sources at plant level, so all the materials in that plant should be impacted here. So it is not recommended here. Okay, so that's what no client will not activate the sources at plant level. Okay. And finally, so what are the table is important, means all the source list details will be stored EORD table we discussed here. Let me show you. Okay, so let me show you. So go to, so what is the transition code to see the table? SE16. Go to SE16. In SE16, so if you enter the table EORD, what is your material here? 1578. Okay, so just you go to SE16, enter the EORD table. So complete your sources details will be stored in this table, EORD table here. If you click on execute here, now you can see the user can able to see this material against. So this is the material 1578 material. So who is created, on which date is created? This is my user ID, on which date today itself I created. But what are the vendors in the market? 2 vendors. And what is the validity periods of these vendors? So which means altogether, so all the sources details will be stored in only one table, EORD table here. There you can check. So which vendors are providing, so what is the from to date, who is created. Okay, so everything you can observe the sources details in EORD table here. Okay, so apart from this, we have some other functionality also in the source list here. What is the other functionality also? We will see here. However, there is only one transaction code. There is no change mode here. Remaining, 1 is for create, 2 is for change, 3 is for display. But ME0 there is no display mode. There is no change ME0 to ME0 itself. This we discussed. ME03 is there again. So if you see the display mode is display transition is same. In ME03 you can able to see the data. It is there. Only ME02 means ME0 itself you need to create and maintain. Okay. And finally, so what are the other functionality in the source system we discuss here? Okay. ME0. So enter the material plant here. Come to here. Okay. So during the business, some vendors they are not providing the proper materials to us, or they are not following the shipping instructions here. Okay. So I'm asking to ship in one way, they are doing in different way, they are not maintaining the shipping instructions, or they are asking. So in number of business, we have lot of reasons will be there. So this vendor is not providing the material to me. So even though I have against this material, so I have maintained some sources records, couple of vendors. Okay, but this supplier is not providing proper material, so I can block the vendor sources. So this is the blocking indicator. Block the sources. Okay, we can block the vendor sources. If I block the vendor in the source list here in image0, so you go and observe the 1578. Okay, so which vendor is blocked here? So 1000 vendor is blocked. Okay, so again is this vendor. I'm trying to create here. Go to create a PO ME21. Okay, so enter the vendor, the purchasing organization, purchase group, and the company code. Okay, enter a material code 1578 here, and enter the quantity here. For which plant here? The price asking, system is asking the price. You can mention the price here. Immediately the system is stopping here. Why system is stopping? Source of supply block according to the source list here. So this is one important provision you need to ask. So suppose even though against the material, I mentioned a couple of vendors. If any vendor, so due to any business reason, you can restrict the vendor. You can restrict the vendor in the source list here. So how to restrict? Simply you need to select the indicator here. Okay, so select this line item. So from environment, you can go and check your source list here. So this vendor has been blocked. So that's what we are not able to procure this. If user is trying to create a material also, okay, so user, so until unless if you unblock this checkbox, then only user can able to procure. So this is the end user don't know, right? So you can block them in the source list here. Suppose if I'll go with a 5210 vendor, So this is the some advantage in the source list also here. If I go to 521 vendor, so the system will accept and you can able to click it here. So here now more than one vendor also. Suppose you have some 5 vendors, so all the 5 vendors also you can at a time you can block it. So this if I go to this, all the 5 vendors you can block them in the source system. So this is one provision into understand into consider. Okay. Now apart from this, so what is the other advantage in the source system? What is the other advantage in the source system? Right. So now I come to here, the source list here. Now during the business, again this material is plant. So if I want to fix the vendor in the source list here, why fixing is required? So this is actually fixed source of supply. Already we discussed here. Blocked source of supply already we discussed here. Now what is this checkbox here? Fixed source here. Then in which case we'll go for a fixed source of supply here. So again this material, I have vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3, vendor 4, some couple of vendors will be there. Okay, particular vendor is okay. So during this next 1 month or 2 months, okay, so I want to fix this vendor here. I don't want to go with any other vendor here. I want to fix the vendor in the source list here. Okay, so if I fix the vendor in the source list, now if I want to fix the vendor source list, so this is the most of the interest will ask you this question here. If I want, so even though if I mention the source list indicator, okay, and I mention some couple of vendors, if any vendor, if I want to fix in the source list record, so that vendor and material combination info record is must here. This is a prerequisite. So this material vendor combination info record is not available in the system. I cannot able to fix the vendor in the source list here. So this particular vendor and material combination, if info record is available, then only I can fix here. If info record is not available, I cannot able to fix here. This is a prerequisite. Okay. Now what I will do, so I will try to create info record here. Okay. So 1578 here. So go to M11. Okay. Let me, so this 5210 and both the vendors I will create info record. Select started here. Okay. Now let me create info record. You know, yesterday we discussed, means last session we discussed complete info record. This vendor is providing some 120 euros. Enter and click on save here. The info record is a many to many because this material may be, so we'll procure from different suppliers, means vendors, or the vendor also will supply multiple materials here. Okay, so with other vendor also I'll create info record. Other vendor also the same material, I'm creating an info record here. Into all the details here. Let's say instead of 120, I can mention some 140. Okay, 2 vendors I created info record here. Now this time, so what I will do, I'll try to fix a vendor in the source list here. Go to image run, for this material in this plant. I want to fix it here. I want to fix. So the fixed source here. Whether we can able to fix the vendor or not, we need to check. So previously info record is not available. We are not able to fix. But this time I created the info record. Now happily I can able to fix the vendor in the source list here. I can able to fix the vendor in the source list here. Right? So now here not only this vendor, suppose if I will go another vendor also you can able to fix because with both the vendors here. So which vendor you fix it the source list here? Now come to here in image run. So the 1000 vendor you fixed here. Okay, now previously when you restrict the vendor, the user cannot able to procure the vendor that, okay, so what are the vendor you in black here. Now this time I fixed it with 1000 vendor. If I'll go with 5210 vendor, how system is being in it observe. But even though, so as a consultant or the user, the key user, I fixed any vendor in the source system. But I'm going with other vendor. How system is being in it observe. So I fixed it with 1000 vendor, but I'm procuring with a 5210 vendor. Okay. Now let us see how system is being. Go to ME21 and go with 5210 vendor. Enter the material, the quantity, price, currency. So all these details I need to mention. So here what you will observe, so you can go forward here. The system is not going to stop here, but system is giving only warning message. warning message you can go forward here. But today just you need to understand again we have some customization classes there. All the master data and transition data customization classes will be there. Don't worry. Okay. So suppose your client is saying, so even though you fixed one vendor, so which vendor you fixed 1000 vendor, but you are going with other vendor here. So what exactly the system is giving? A different source of supply is fixed for this date. A different source of supply is fixed here. Giving a warning message. If you want, you can go forward here. You can able to create a PO. But this I required warning to error message without help of the technical people, you can do it here. That will see in customization tasks. The system is giving only warning message. When system is giving the warning message, you can go forward here. When the system is giving the warning message, you can go forward here. Error message. But in this case, a different source of supply is fixed for this state means so you fixed for 1000 vendor, you are going with other vendor. The system is giving warning. That warning message you can make as a error message here. Okay. So from here also, if you go to display source list here, so which vendor you fixed in the source list 1000 vendor, but you are procuring with 5210 vendor, so that's what the system is giving warning message here. This fixed indicator is there here. Okay, so this is actually some important functionality in the source list here. Again, see here finally what is the so other functionality of the source list also we'll discuss here. Again, you go to Emigeron. Okay, so here just I remove this fixed indicator. You can click on save. Finally, so we come metal master, vendor master, info record, and source list. This is the fourth master data we are discussing here. So what is the other advantage in the source list altogether here? Okay, so what we observed, it is simple. So here source list is a master data. What is the purpose of the source list? If I have not activated the source list for any material, so this material can be procured from any vendor in the vendor database here. But if I activated, what happened here? The material against I need to mention the record in the system in Emigeron. What are the vendors are supplying here? This I think everybody is clear. But coming to the subject here, so why? Because my business, some materials I want to procure from only list of vendors. So this is my requirement here. So other vendors need to be blocked here. But actually the SAP has given the provision, you can do it to plant level and material level. But even though what is the recommendation? Material level only you need to activate here. Where will activate the source list to material level? In material master purchasing view, just you need to select the indicator as a source list here. So this is the way you need to activate the source list at material level here. But why should we should not activate source list at plant level? If I activate the plant level, okay, so all the materials in that plant need to be sourced here. Okay, so this is also mainly you need to focus here. And also all the source list details will be stored in only one table, that is EORD table. Okay. And finally, what is the main advantage in the source list also we need to discuss here. What is the main advantage of the source list here? Okay, so let us see here. 1578, right? If I am the end user, so here go to ME51. ME51 is to create a purchase requisition. Okay, next after, so maybe from tomorrow, day after tomorrow notes, we'll discuss each and every purchasing document. So the purchase requisition is the initial purchasing document. In domain we will call it indent here. Okay. So this end user is creating. So I am the end user. I don't have any table access. So simply I mention the material. How much quantity I require? Suppose I require some 500. Okay, the 500, and for which plant here 500 pieces are kg. So the end user is creating the material. He required the material, and is going to mention this material is required some 500 pieces. For which plant? 1000 plant and 1000 store. On which date he required, all these details he will mention here. Okay. So once he will mention, so here in a stores, so some store people are creating. So we have thousands of materials. Okay. So how the user will come to know this material against? Okay. So who are the suppliers here? Go to source of supply. If you click on assign source of supply, immediately the system will pick. So this material against. So what are the vendors is there? This is one of the important advantage for the user. Okay. So for every time when you are creating PR, so against this against this material. So whenever he is creating PR purchase requisition, against this material, if any what are the vendors are supplying, what is the price are they are offering? 140, 120 euros. Okay. So what is the info record number? Everything you can trace it here. So this is one of the important. Okay, means finally the source list and purchase info record are the best source determination process here. So otherwise it is like we have in stores we have a lot of materials here. So how will the end user will come to know? So this is one of the important okay, so parameter from the SAP side here. So the users at the time of purchase requisition, if you go to source of supply, if you click on assign source of supply, immediately the system will show you. So what are the available vendors in the market here? The finally, so we complete the master. So this source list here. These are the complete portions of the source list here. But apart from this, okay, so master status. What are the other master status we need to discuss here? Initial classes we discussed. We have 7 type of master status here. Okay. So could you tell me anybody in the session? All the 7 master status. Let me check how the session is going on. Not offline, online. I'll ask offline, offline. You are in offline, right? I'm checking offline candidates. What are the 7 master status? Anybody in the session? Yeah, Rajesh Babu. Yeah,
Yashasvi
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Material master, vendor master, purchase info
Okay,
record, source list,
okay,
condition record, service master, batch master.
okay. Very good. Okay. So there are 7 master statistics in there. Okay. So material master, vendor master, info record, source list we completed. So what are the remaining master data? The remaining master data are okay, condition records. The condition records. um, sorry, service master and next the batch master. So this actually these are all remaining master. So 4 master data we discussed here. Next master data are condition records, service master and batch master here. The service master generally we have a topic called pricing procedure here. What is the topic here? The pricing procedure one topic is there. So do you think pricing procedure? Now this is not right time. So we have a topic called pricing procedure. That time we'll discuss about okay, this condition records here. And for service master we have service procurement is there. For you people also we need to include. Okay. So service master we have service procurement is there. Okay. This okay, the service master will discuss in the service procurement. And coming to batch master, also we have a topic called batch management. So nowadays you are using more number of materials. We are using batch, food industries, pharma industries, chemical industries. Okay, how the batch number will be related. So this is also these 3 master data. Now this is not right time. So during the process, however it will cover here. Okay. Next, from tomorrow onwards, we are stepping to the transaction data. So now tomorrow onwards we will step into the so org data, master data. Now tomorrow we'll discuss about transaction data. So how many types of transaction data is there? What is the importance of the transaction data? So which parameter is going to control? So what are the document types is there? So we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay. So this college today class here. So thank you for joining session, Lakshmi, Rajesh Babu, Yanu, and
Thank you, sir.
okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome.